Satan, in his harassment, targets what? What does he target in our lives? He targets our vulnerabilities, okay? Everybody has vulnerabilities in your life. You have weaknesses in your personality. We all have weaknesses in our character. We have weaknesses in our thinking. We have weaknesses in our relationships. There are vulnerable points in all of our lives, unguarded places, things we don't even know about or recognize, just places where we're vulnerable to attack. And some of these vulnerabilities are more noticeable to us and to other people than other parts are, but everybody has vulnerabilities in their life. It's extremely important to understand that we're all vulnerable. We're all vulnerable to the attack of the evil one. It's interesting that the Apostle Paul in 1 Corinthians chapter 10, in the first 11 verses, he lays out what kept a group of the Israelites out of the promised land. He describes some of the sins they committed, lust and sexual immorality, and actually he gets more specific about some attitudinal things in their lives in terms of complaining and grumbling and griping, and it kept them out of the promised land. He describes all of this, and then he gets to the next verse after the first 11 verses. He gets to verse 12, and look at what he says. He says, so, and by the way, the translation of this is also therefore. Therefore, or so, if you think you're standing, be careful that you don't fall. He says, I've given you these 11 verses describing all these things that caused a group of people to fall. Lust, sexual immorality, and grumbling and complaining. And he's listed all these things. Go back and read the first 11 verses for yourself. You'll see the litany of all these things that have occurred there. And he says, therefore, or so, based upon what I just told you about, therefore, if you think you are standing firm, be careful that you don't fall. Here's the key to your Bible story. Every time you see a therefore in your Bible, ask yourself the question, what is it there for? It always points you back to what's been said beforehand. So Paul's saying, I told you about all these people who missed the promised land because of things going on in their life. Therefore, or as the New International Version translates it, so if you think you're standing, be careful that you don't fall. Would you agree this makes it very personal, does it not?